What's going on, guys? So today on this SHOKY Reviews, we're going to take a look at Power of the Primes Deluxe Class Jazz. Now, first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at his packaging here. And you got Jazz on here in car mode. You've got the Wheel of the Primes back there in the plastic prison. You got Power of the Primes there, Autobot Jazz, Deluxe Class, Clase Deluxe, Clase de Lujo, and Clase Deluxe. Hasbro ages 8+. Hey, I'm right in the middle of that. You got the Transformers Generations style logo there, and the actual Transformers Generations logo there. And you zoom out just a little bit where I can't. You can see a nice artist rendition of Jazz there. Come around to the back, and can't read anything because it's too high. You've got how will the improvisational, Autobot Special Ops Agents wield the power of the Primes. That's literally the only description they give on all of these things, is how will blank handle the power of the Primes. And over here, you get him actually with this dumb Prime armor with the footballs in his chest, and you get the Micronus football, the Vector Prime football, and the Legion Maximo football, and you got the, hey, it does this thing. And he transforms in 18 steps. There's a very nice little car mode there. So go ahead and toss that aside. And we got Jazz right here. Now, before we go too much further, we look at the stuff that came in the box. And you've got his instruction sheet, which the way these new ones work, it's like a very wide fold-out dealie. And of course, you've got the gray and red on black background, which in this case isn't too bad. His transformation is honestly not terrible, although I might have to refer back to this for possibly the combined modes, because that's the sort of tricky part with this guy. But instructions are as instructions do. You also get his character card, which I liked character cards whenever it came with the stats. The fact that this doesn't have the stats on it really does annoy me, but you've got Power of the Primes, repeat of the box art, and you've got whatever's going on right here. And you got Onyx Jazz, which actually sounds pretty cool. But you've got Daredevil Fighter with razor sharp instincts. I don't believe we've gotten Onyx just yet, but like if he was like the color of Onyx, I would totally dig that. You also get his Prime armor, or his Primer. This one's a little bit different than the ones we've seen so far from the Dinobots. He does have the clear gun, which is the same as all of them have been. So, you know, it's the clear gun slash stopgap slash football replacement that goes in there. And I'm thinking I could probably lower my light a little bit for this. And this one actually comes with like thrusters molded in, which is pretty cool. This would actually probably look pretty good on swoop, but you can attach it to him in car mode, just right back here on the back with the thrusters pointing backwards. That actually looks kind of cool. You could also attach it to these random holes over here if you really want to. That doesn't really do anything, and if you really wanted to plug it up his you-know-what and give him some thrust, that sounded really wrong, you could do that and have a whole attachment coming out the backside. God, it's just not getting better. Alright, so quick distraction. He comes with his little pistol as well, painted all nice and neat, molded in all white, just painted in the nice Hasbro silver. I like it when they give us a weapon that's actually painted, which they don't always do. And you can just plug it in on his roof like so. Or if you need side weapons, you can plug it in there. If you have weapons from other figures like Dinobots, you could just plow all the weapons on top of him. Nice and easy. Alright, so in car mode, Jazz looks pretty cool. And guys, this is actually the first time I've ever had a Jazz. Now, way back when I was still, I think, in my preteen days, me and my dad were at Walmart, and there was a couple of different Transformers available. There was G1 Jazz, and then G2 Sideswipe. And I had a hard time deciding. I had Jazz in my hand. It was an old school Porsche body and all that, and I put it back and I got Sideswipe, and I think ever since I regretted it, because I always wanted a Jazz. This is legitimately the first actual Jazz figure I've ever had. And while it's not his original Porsche, it's the more modern-ish styled, like world-class racer And it does look pretty good, molded mostly in white with blue paint, and then all of the top part, very much like some chunks of Optimus, I believe, are all painted translucent. So the entire cockpit cab area there with the translucent windows, everything attached to that, which is almost one entire shell, including the front up here, is all translucent stuff that's painted over. You actually got clear headlights with back painted sky blue for light effect. All of this is painted and then probably tamper-graphed with the almost like mobile style colors. I really do dig that. Nice Autobot tamper-graph right up front. Even got these nice little molded in grills. You can actually see the blue for the headlights through that. It looks pretty good. I like the red chin. Now, it kind of disappoints me because these wheels are just all molded in black, and you got the humongous World Racer wheels. Now, definitely underneath you get a little bit of car kibble, not a whole lot. You definitely have visible head syndrome. Of course, just turn it around. I like the inclusion of the vents for the motor, since they have the molded in engine cylinders right there, and even the molded in gas caps. That's pretty cool. I do wish these had some paint. I might actually touch them up. I actually wanted to add some like darker gold, almost magnesium kind of colored to those wheels. I think it would look really, really good. You got nice molded in detail in the back. You've got vents, you've got taillights. I wish they had actually painted the taillights red. Something I could definitely do. But, I mean, his car mode isn't bad. He does roll, as rolling things should. He rolls fairly nicely on those really big wheels. It looks pretty good. Now, for comparison, we have a couple cars. We've got Titan's Return Hot Rod there. Very similar size, but of course he's extremely narrow in comparison. And these are actually fairly big cars, so I mean they had to fit the combiner aspect, whereas this guy definitely doesn't. We have Leader Class Rodimus Prime. So this is a fairly good size comparison. The wheels are essentially the same size, and vehicle-wise, you know, it sort of makes sense, the differentiating there. And here is Wally. Clearly Wally is much bigger than Jazz at this point. Surprisingly, I don't have a whole lot of cars to compare it to. I've got a lot of Dinobots, not a lot of cars. Now real quick, we're going to go ahead and take him into his combine mode, since they're all pretty much from car mode. I'm going to come down to the side panels, just flip them up, get them out of the way, because that kind of holds most of the torso and the front part all together. And the front part is what we want to break free. So just kind of crack it like an egg. You see these little tabs come out. I'm going to go ahead and fold that all forward. Now we're going to put them in leg mode first. Go ahead and flip up the combiner port. Now leg mode is actually the easier of the two modes, because it is essentially just a folded up car. You're just using this big kind of double hinge setup right here. You've got these big tabs that are going to go into these slots back here. Just line those up as best you can. And then, well, basically that was it. Just collapse that leg. Now, you're supposed to take the gun. This is actually part of it. It does tell you to add the gun to the front of it. And we will take one of our Volcanicus feet and just plug it right in there. And there's your Jazz in leg mode. I mean, that is like silly, silly easy. And I think for future reference, whenever I put this guy into a combiner, which I'm probably going to throw him onto Volcanicus temporarily when we get there, I think he's going to be a leg mode. I think he's got huge chunkiness to it, and we're going to do arm mode real quick, and you'll see why I'm going to go with leg mode. So basically, pull that off. Go ahead and untab that. I'm going to push the combiner port down. We'll make him a right arm. You want to come down, split the bottom part here. And since all of that's out of the way, you can do this easier. And this is one thing I really don't dig about this. It's still the very Combiner Wars type contracting legs. But the fact that this part opens inward makes it so awkward. I mean, it's there so that it can hold together, but it's still awkward. just basically unfold that nice double hinge for that, and tab these back together. And we're going for a right arm. Do that number. I think we want to pull that up like that. Let's pull the gun out. This is definitely incorrect. I can see that right off the bat. Okay, so I want to collapse this in on the arm. There we go. Tab these back into the sides if it'll line up. There we go. At this point, getting everything lined up is certainly not easy, and keeping everything lined up is not. So that is essentially his car mode. Or I'm sorry, his arm mode. And we'll take his hand, flip out the fingers, flip down the thumbs, rotate that one up. Go ahead and plug that into the wrist, like so. Now, I did mine, I just realized half of that's not visible. I did mine with the bottom part of the car facing outward. Now, you can do it the other way. You just have to untab, just give yourself some room to work. Rotate it the other way. And you can have a white arm facing forward, which that's totally up to you. Now, getting this all tabbed back together is seemingly difficult. Come on. It's something I don't like. This is why I don't want him as an arm, because one, I don't like the aspect of it. I think the car parts are too big and too wide to be serviceable as arms, but you do get a double jointed elbow by use of the legs. But yeah, it is what it is. You also would get the rotation there. You can tilt one way or the other, but there's you an arm. And like I said, that's up to you. If you really want to do it that way, you could also put the gun there for kind of a shoulder cannon, or you can have him hold the gun as such. What do you do? Tiny little pistol. I guess realistically, if you want to give him a slightly bigger gun. Or you could give him like something like Rodimus's big gun. That would work too. Which I happen to have laying here. Which this is definitely a combiner-sized weapon. Let's be honest. So that totally works. I would definitely not be surprised to see that come up as a combiner weapon. Okay, so from arm mode, it's very, very easy to get him into robot mode. We'll just rotate at the hips. Again, straighten all that out. Pop these out. Go ahead and fix the legs. Flip the feet down. Real easy. And you'll hear the two clicks there. Make sure you get those both. Go ahead and unfold this again. Want to pop this back just a little bit so we've got the room. Put away the combiner port. Flip the head down. Now this is important because you need to crack this like an egg. Now this forward piece, it's all translucent. I'll say this right now. It's got a tab in right in there. I had to actually trim this down with a knife because it was not fitting at all and causing really bad issues. So I trimmed it down so it would fit. Now what you want to do is lift up here, fold this in, fold it down again. Now you want to come down here and you see how the double hinge area has this little gap. All of the arm will fold into that. At the same time, you want to fold the head up and through the hole. You've got some clear tabs right there that are going to go into slots right above the chest. Like so. Turn the arms. And spin the head around. And there we have Jazz in robot mode. Now in robot mode, he does look very good. He has his quintessential head, black head, though it is actually with a gunmetal metallic and might not show up on camera, but you can sort of see the difference. He's got a painted silver face and a painted blue visor, as Jazz should have. The headlights stay exactly the same. I kind of wish this part would have been blue to match the thing that folded away, but you do get this nice kind of filler piece for the chest now down here. I think that does actually look good. It actually makes it to where it's not such a hollow thing. Now you have all of this area down here around the waist, and the crotch is all painted black on top of white, which is okay. It looks decent. It's kind of a matte color. And the same thing over here. No, actually, I believe this is actually, I thought it was that crap. It's that crappy plastic. I can see that. You can see the really bad mold marks and stuff like that. So all this black molded on the backside of the white. The hands are actually separate pieces. You can see they're meant to rotate, but they absolutely can't because of this door panel. Now, I do wish they could have made it to where this door panel would flip down, or even if it would rotate and then fold over the arm itself, giving you the hand. That would be awesome, but I mean, it's all molded in. The entire arm piece is all one piece, and then they just inserted the hands. So they're stupid. They don't even rotate. Shoulders do spin, like so. You also get a flip-out joint. And you got a ball joint up here. You're not really going to get a high teacher, but he can try. So just ball jointed mounted elbows like all the other things. Like I said, the wrist doesn't move. He does hold the gun perfectly like he should, like any other 5mm peg. And unlike some of the previous ones, it's not horrendous to try to get the gun in his hand. I like that it's actually molded. You can see the hole right through there. I dig that. Ball jointed mounted hips as such, almost like universals. Kick forward, he can almost kick back, but he kicks the backpack, and once that pops off, then you've got a mess. Rotation joint at the top of the thigh. Technically kind of a double jointed knee, but the second joint doesn't really do anything to help you. So 90 degrees out of that. Toes don't really do much, but if you really want to, you can get him with a bent leg stance like so. That's not too bad. And everything is molded at a slight angle to give you a mild A stance when he's just chilling, like so. Turn the legs out a little, turn the head, and you can get him in a pretty good pose. That's actually very nice. Let's get a picture of that. Cool. Now, Jazz was always one of my favorites. I always liked his attitude, always liked his accent. We're not talking about Bayverse. Bayverse Jazz was totally useless, although really cool car mode. But let's go ahead and throw out some comparisons. Here he is with tiny little Sea Spray, a Legends class guy. Yeah, so Deluxe Legends, that's pretty much how it goes. Here he is with Deluxe class Hot Rod, who's just a little bit taller. But of course, once again, this guy has to fit into the Combiner Wars aesthetic and size and dimensions and all that. Stupid Headmaster always pops off. Here he is with Voyager class Grimlock. Now that's a fair size comparison right there. Try to catch the light for his eyes. Yeah. He Grimlock. Really big. Now, of course, like I said, these will be combining probably in a later video after I do Dreadwind. So, I'll pull this guy out. And here he is with Leader class Prime that we looked at before, and you can see a massive size difference between the Deluxe and that. Now, this is probably a fair size comparison, realistically, because Prime usually did tower over a lot of the regular car bots, so that's pretty good. And I like that I can get an almost G1 group here, all in the main line. Now, I need to find a few more of the other guys if I can do it, maybe even from the Combiner Wars. It's going to be a little bit harder. I knew where I could find a Combiner Wars Hound and stuff like that, but I think they're gone. But that might be fun to actually have those, just to kind of build out a G1 shelf. And last but not least, here's our good buddy Wally. Wally, this is Jazz. Yeah, he's going to be your new friend. Let's see here. Can I get him to lean over just a little for Wally's sake? There we go. That's so sweet. I'm going to take a picture. Awesome. Get Wally out of there. Now, of course, in robot mode, you can totally make use of the silly Prime armor. So I already showed off that he can hold his other gun, but he can hold this dumb clear gun. I don't know why they didn't just paint those silver or something. Paint them black for all it mattered. It's so silly. Now this, you can't I don't think you can technically use it on his chest. No, there's nowhere to plug it in. So you can use it. Actually, I forgot he has these side ports on the arm, so he can totally use it here as a shield, which is always neat, and he can burn people with those thrusters, which have got no light in there. And I think, let me double check here, if you really want, you can still totally use butt thrusters. So you can totally have a flight pack attached to his butt. Just, you know, not that I think Jazz ever did fly, but, you know, he's got a thruster that comes out of his butt now, so maybe you can do what you gotta do. I guess technically speaking, you can always use it as a gun. You know, they wanted to include a lot of different things for playability here, so, you know, a gun shield thruster arm thing. Oops, his top came unpegged. See, all I did was knock that back off and it unsettled the entire figure. But guys, I think that is it for this review, this deluxe class Jazz from Power of the Primes. If you guys like this, make sure you give it a thumb up. If you guys are new here, I do Transformers videos fairly often now. There's a new line to check out. But of course, I have all kinds of other stuff on this thing. Just hit that little subscribe button down there and hit the little notification bell if you really want to know when and if I upload a video, which is pretty much every day. So just always come back. It is what it is. And guys, of course, I want to thank my patrons, John, Andy, Steve, and Kolby, right here on the screen. If you're interested in joining the Patreon and help push the channel forward, and also have the ability to maybe control some of the things I review. And by the way, I didn't cover it a second ago. You can totally insert a Titan Master in there, so you can run around shooting people with Hot Rod's head. That's always fun, right? Right. But that's it, guys. I'll catch you on the next review. Remember, as always, keep on nerding.